In this video on AutoCAD Fundamentals, we're going to discuss drawing lines with the line command, visual references such as grid and snap, the erase command, and how to repeat a command. We're now going to talk about drawing lines with the line command. I want you to move your graphics cursor to the first icon in the draw panel. This is the line icon. Note that a brief description of the line command appears next to the cursor. We then want to select the icon by clicking once with the left mouse button, which will activate the line command. If you look at the command prompt area near the bottom of the AutoCAD drawing screen, you're going to see the message line specify first point. AutoCAD expects us to identify the starting location of a straight line. If we move our graphics cursor inside the graphics window and watch the display of the coordinates of the graphic cursor at the bottom of the AutoCAD drawing screen, you'll see three numbers. These three numbers represent the location of the cursor in the X, Y, and Z directions. We can treat this graphics window as if it was a piece of paper and we're using our cursor as the pencil with which to draw. We're going to create a freehand sketch of a 5-point star using the line command. Don't be overly concerned with the actual size or accuracy of your sketch. We're going to start at a location somewhere about a third of the way up the drawing window. Left click once to position the starting point of our first line. This will be point 1 of our sketch. Next, if you move the cursor upward and toward the right side of point 1, you'll notice a rubber band line that follows the graphics cursor in the graphics window. Now we're going to move our cursor to the left of point 2 and create a horizontal line about the same length as the first line on the screen. We're going to repeat these steps to complete the freehand sketch by adding 3 more lines from point 3 to point 4, and then we're going to go ahead and finish off the star by going back to point 1. Notice the line command remains activated even after we connected the last segment of the line to the starting point of our sketch. If we click once with the right mouse button, a pop-up menu will appear. Go ahead and select Enter with the left mouse button to end the line command. This is equivalent to hitting the Enter key on the keyboard. We can then move the cursor near point 2 and point 3 and estimate the length of the horizontal line by watching the displayed coordinates for each point. The method we just used to create the freehand sketch is known as the interactive method, where we use the cursor to specify locations on the screen. This method is perhaps the fastest way to specify locations on the screen. However, it's rather difficult to try to create a line of a specific length by watching the displayed coordinates. It would be helpful to know what 1 inch or 1 meter looks like on the screen. While we are creating entities, AutoCAD provides us with many tools to aid in the construction of our designs. For example, the grid and snap mode options can be used to get a visual reference as to the size of objects and learn to restrict the movement of the cursor to a set increment on the screen. The grid and snap mode options can be turned on or off through the status bar. The status bar area is located at the bottom right of the AutoCAD drawing screen next to the cursor coordinates. The second button in the status bar is Snap Mode, and the third button is the Grid Display option. The buttons in the status bar area serve 2 functions. 1, the status of the specific option, and 2, as toggle switches that can be used to turn these special options on and off. When the corresponding button is highlighted, the specific option is turned on. Using the buttons is a quick and easy way to make changes to these drawing aid options. The buttons in the status bar can also be switched on and off in the middle of another command. To demonstrate this, we're going to turn the grid on. I want you to left click on the grid button in the status bar to turn on the grid display option. Notice in the command prompt area the message grid on is also displayed. Move the cursor inside the graphics window and estimate the distance in between the grid lines by watching the coordinates displayed at the bottom of the screen. The grid option creates a pattern of lines that extends over an area on the screen. Using the grid is similar to placing a sheet of grid paper under a drawing. The grid helps you align objects and visualize the distance between them. The grid is not displayed in the plotted drawing. The default grid spacing, which means the distance between two lines on the screen, is 0.5 inches. We can see that the sketched horizontal line in our sketch is about 4 inches long. Now we're going to turn on snap mode. I want you to left click the snap mode button in the status bar to turn on the snap mode. The snap option controls an invisible rectangular grid that restricts cursor movement to specified intervals. When snap mode is on, the screen cursor and all input coordinates are snapped to the nearest point on the grid. To demonstrate this, we'll go ahead and click on the line command and look at the cursor. As we move the cursor inside the graphics window and we move the cursor diagonally on the screen, observe the movement of the cursor and watch the coordinates displayed in the bottom of the screen. We're going to create another sketch of a 5-point star with the grid and snap options switched on. When we're done drawing the star, we're going to use the right mouse button and select Enter to end the line command. We're now going to talk about how to use the erase command. One of the advantages of using a CAD system is the ability to remove entities without leaving any marks. To start, we're going to pick the erase in the Modify toolbar. The icon is a picture of an eraser at the end of a pencil. The message, Select Objects, is displayed in the command prompt area, and AutoCAD awaits us to select the objects to erase. We're going to left-click Snap Mode button on the status bar to turn Snap Mode off. Select any two lines on the screen. The selected lines are highlighted. To deselect an object from the selection set, hold down the Shift key and select the object again. Once we have our selections made, right-click the mouse button once to accept the selection, and the two lines are erased. If we ever want to repeat the last command, which is quite common in AutoCAD, inside the graphics window with no command active, we want to use the right mouse button and click. Pick Repeat Erase with the left mouse button in the pop-up menu to repeat the last command. AutoCAD offers many options to accomplish the same task. Throughout these videos, we will emphasize the use of the AutoCAD heads-up design interface, which means we focus on the screen and not on the keyboard. Move the cursor to a location that is above and toward the left side of the entities on the screen. Left mouse click once to start the corner of a rubber band window. Move the cursor towards the right and below the entities, and then left mouse click to enclose all the entities inside the selection window. Notice all entities that are inside the window are selected. Inside the graphics window, right mouse click once to proceed with erasing the selected object.